So the question is as you look at those things, what are the things that you want to accomplish in your health? Do you believe that what you eat affects your ability to accomplish those goals in life? Is there anyone here who isn't yet convinced that what you eat has something to do with your ability to accomplish what you want in life? Okay, so it sounds like we're all there. So what that means is it means that planning what you eat and paying attention to it and putting some resources and time and attention there is worth it, right? Because if we want to accomplish what we want in life, we simply have to invest time and effort into what is going inside of our body every day. Okay. Secondly, I know I ask you to do a lot of writing, but honestly, if you don't write things down, it doesn't count. Things that are just floating around in your head, I mean, if you think of all the things that end up floating through your head in a day, things just floating around in your head don't matter. Put them on paper, okay? Write down some beliefs that you either have now or that you have had in the past about nutrition that you feel have kept you from accomplishing your goals. This is two of the biggest ones. A lot of you believe that you don't have enough time to focus on the food that goes in your mouth. Time out, 1 second. Did we not just talk about what goes in our mouth pretty much affects our ability to accomplish what we want in life? Is there any amount of time not worth that? Okay. A lot of you probably have never looked at it that way. And do you also realize that the time limitations that you have are self-imposed? You are the one who filled your schedule, not someone else. If you are unable to put adequate time into your health or into the things that get you your health, like nutrition or movement, we'll go through that later on, then you need to change some things. You need to find the time. You need to cut something else out that isn't going to change your life 10 years from now, because the nutrition you eat today will change your life. What you eat today will be taking you towards that heart attack. Or what you eat today, because you planned and took the time to do it, will be taking you to that vacation in the Himalayas or whatever you want to do, where you're having a blast. 2 roads. So take the time to do it. Secondly, money is a big one. And money is another one of those things where beliefs can really limit your ability to move forward in your health. But I can promise you, especially in our society right now, what's going on around us, in our government and the state of our health care, or I should say sick care, you will not be able to afford to be sick. I can promise you every dollar that you spend on your health or on your healing, on your disease resolution opposed to disease management, will be a dollar well spent, and it will triple, if not quadruple or more. So even if it hurts to begin with, I promise you any money or monetary investment that you can make in this process, in your nutrition, is going to be well worth it. Other things that we're going to touch on today and even a little bit later. Some of you may say you hate to cook. You just absolutely hate to be in the kitchen. Though that's a belief as well that would hold you back. It's important to identify these beliefs. That's why I'm asking you to write them down. It's not bad that you have them, because we all have certain beliefs. But we need to identify them so we can begin to change how we look at those things. So let's run through some myths that really, really, really need to be cleared up. Okay? Myth number 1, you must eat a balanced diet. It's kind of an interesting thing to hear. Most people fail in their meal planning because they put way too much emphasis on getting this huge variety of foods. The only people that I hear telling individuals today to eat a widely varied and balanced diet are agencies that have been involved in the greatest disease increase in human history. All these people say, eat a varied diet. Doesn't it sound good? It just sounds wonderful. Balanced diet. Define it for me, please. Most people hear it, and literally because they don't know what it means, or it just sounds kind of, can't really put a definition to it, they just don't do it. What I'm telling you is when it comes to a balanced diet, it's way overrated. Let me give you a few reasons why. First of all, geography, okay? We have things in our grocery stores that never, ever, ever would have been in our hands years ago, okay? Simply the ability to ship it there and keep it good on the way would never have happened. But now we've figured out ways to pick things before they're ripe, put them in trucks or trains or ships, ripen them on the way with various different gases, and then by the time it gets to the grocery store, it actually resembles a tomato or something like we'd think was worth eating. Have you ever bitten into a tomato or a tomato slice that does not taste like a tomato? It's almost kind of like the essence of a tomato, or it kind of takes on the form, but you know that this cannot be a tomato. Or the berries in the wintertime, it's not right. But yet these organizations, and you've been told by all kinds of professionals that you have to have a balanced diet. The bottom line is in seasons, and especially with geography, we did not used to be able to get this kind of food. And it's not helping us, is it? The more variety we have, is it helping us be healthier? We've gotten sicker and sicker and sicker over the past 50 years. The more variety we have, apparently something's not going right. So a balanced diet is not necessarily all that it's cracked up to be. The second point in the balanced diet is not just geography, but it's also weather and where you've come from. Okay? My ancestors are from Sweden. In Sweden, there's a lot of foods that people in Sweden can't eat because they just simply can't grow them there. They can't get them there. People eat what's in their geography. So it's good to know where you've come from, what you've got in your blood, because usually food that's native to those areas is what's going to sit best with you. It's what your body's going to respond really well to, because those types of things are inherited and they're recognized by your body. Your body recognizes nutrition like that. Another thing is I don't go out of my way to eat a bunch of citrus fruits. When's the last time you saw a citrus fruit grow in Sweden or Iowa? Not many of them. So, and the only way it's going to get here is if it comes from thousands of miles away. So what you really want to focus on, opposed to this varied and balanced diet, is you want to focus on foods that are seasonal. And they're close. And you can go look the person in the eye that grew it, or at least know where it came from. Okay? If it's seasonal, if it's in season, it's always going to be at its peak of nutrition. And it's going to taste the best too. Okay, myth number 2. Calories in equals calories out. How many people have heard this one? This is the staunch dietetic principle, calories in, calories out. Therefore, if you minimize 500 calories a day, you will get 1 pound of weight loss per week. Does that always work that way? No. I have known hundreds of patients who have cut their calories down to 1,200 or 1,000 or even 500 a day and have not lost a pound. Because your metabolism adjusts constantly to your caloric intake, to your food intake. And you can't outsmart your body. Your body is always going to look for ways to survive more efficiently. So if you cut back calories, your body's just going to cut back on spending them. And the best way to focus on food is not through calories. Counting calories will drive you crazy, and it will be a waste of your time for the most part. Okay? We'll focus on what you do instead later. Myth number 3. You must eat 5 to 6 small meals a day or 3 squares a day. This is usually 2 different camps. The 3 squares is usually over here. The 5 to 6 small meals is over here. Usually the 3 squares has been the dietitians up to this point, and the 5 to 6 has been the fitness community. And they both have studies and research, and everyone argues about what's right. Guess what? Neither of them are right, and both of them are right. What works best for you? When I was a senior in high school and I was nearly 300 pounds, I used a meal planning process that was 5 to 6 smaller meals a day, sometimes 7, sometimes 8, just depending on if I was in the gym that day, if I had to work late, if I was up a longer period of time. And I lost weight. It literally was like falling off of my body. But I also have known people who have been very, very successful eating 3 meals a day. It really just depends on what works best for you. I will say this, in my experience, and in the experience of other professionals that are colleagues of mine, the 5 to 6 small meals has seemed to get people quicker results. But it is not the type of meal plan that most people can maintain for life. So you literally could use one of these meal planning processes for a certain period of time to get results, and then move back into a 3 squares type of meal plan for maintenance to make sure that you can just focus on getting those 3 meals done. A lot of you are like, I can't even plan my meal plan now. How am I going to get 5 or 6 meals planned? You know, don't jump into that if that's the thought process you have. If some of you here are saying, how can I get results right now? I will do anything. Then I'd say you want to look at a 5 to 6 small meal a day meal plan. That is what I've seen get results fastest. And if you do that, based on what we tell you here, you will not be eating the types of foods that will mess with your insulin levels. Because obviously, or if you're eating that frequently a day, one of the concerns is blood sugar levels. Okay? And we're talking about eating foods that are not going to affect your blood sugar in a dramatic way. Proteins and fats. Okay? So, don't subscribe to any one way of meal planning. Anyone who says their way is the right way is wrong. Because there is no one way. Okay? There's all kinds of strategies. Myth number 4, a calorie is a calorie. Let me give you a little caveat to this. Technically, based on scientific proof, a calorie is a calorie. But tell me a calorie is a calorie, looking at this picture. One of those has high fructose corn syrup in it. One of it has corn syrup solids. One of it has hydrolyzed protein solids. And one is an apple. Both have 120 calories roughly. We have to understand that just because there's a unit of energy present does not mean your body is going to deal with it the same. And what affects your insulin levels, or what puts foreign proteins into your body and foreign substances into your body will respond differently. And your body will decide what to do with that fuel. Another thing that I heard Dr. Mark Hyman talk about, MD, who's a very well-known functional medicine doctor in the United States, one of the pioneers kind of in the whole holistic medicine realm, is he talks about how when you eat foods that have toxicity in them and have foreign things in them, it affects your cell's mitochondria. And what your mitochondria are is it's the energy center of your cell. And what happens is when you start messing with your cell's ability to process energy because of the toxicity that you're putting in through processed foods and foods that have foreign proteins and things like that in them, a calorie will not process the same. And you will begin to gain weight when you're eating even small amounts of food. And the same thing goes for your thyroid receptors and your hormone receptors on your cells. Because these foreign foods and toxicity in your food can damage those receptors. So normally when your body would receive a hormone signal and it would see that food is coming in and it would process it a certain way, if you eat a lot of calories in junk, Your body is going to be unable to recognize energy the way it should. It's going to be unable to recognize hormones the way it should, and you are going to start to see imbalance. You're going to start to have symptoms. You're going to start to gain weight. You're going to start to have energy problems because your cells' mitochondria are going to have problems too. Most people never think about this when you want to argue the calorie is a calorie point. You never, ever think about those cellular level type of things. But you got to realize that's what's going on. That's why you're able to sit up in that chair and look and think and process thought right now. It's because all that's going on behind the scenes. And a calorie is not the right way to think about that process. It will lead you down paths that will not get you to where you want to go in your health goals. Okay? Myth number 5. Low-fat, no-fat, and sugar-free foods are healthier and lead to weight loss and increased health better than their unaltered counterparts. I can't even say that without smiling. Okay, if you look at the sale of foods over the past 50 years, and you look at the drastic increase in the sale of processed food, and we have this groundbreaking research that comes out that says fat is bad for the body, and all these companies say, there's the money train. We're going to start taking fat out of stuff. Oh, but when you take fat out, by the way, you have to put all kinds of stuff back in to give it mouthfeel so that you'll actually eat it. And they put all kinds of sugar and MSG and yeast extracts and things in there so that you'll actually eat it. So has gone diabetes and cancer and everything else right along with it. And there are some of you watching this and in this audience right now that are scared to death to go and buy a gallon of whole milk because you think it's bad for you. And I'm telling you right now, there is nothing more unlike food than skim milk. It is like an anti-food. I'd actually call it an anti-nutrient because with the things it's missing, your body actually has to do things and give of itself to process it appropriately. Low-fat and no-fat foods are not doing you any good. And the quicker you can get them out of your house, the better off you're going to be because you're immediately going to reduce the processing amount in your food. And your food's going to be more whole. I can promise you your body knows what a full-fat food looks like, and it can handle it. And not only can it handle it, it can process it, and it'll make you thin in the process. You guys have known that I had a weight problem as a kid, and the only point in time when I was able to stabilize my weight is when I realized this. Because as I went into personal training, that dogma was still there. I still believed that fat-free and sugar-free foods were the right things. I put Splenda in my coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, I am human. I believed it too. Because all the journals and things I was reading, I was going to the dietetic conferences. This was like, duh, of course. Fat-free is perfect. That's what's going to make us better. And I had the hardest time controlling my weight. If I wasn't exercising like a fiend, if I was not eating my 5 to 6 meals and hitting my timing right, I was starting to gain weight back. And I was like, come on, is it really this hard? No wonder everyone's having a problem with it. And then all of a sudden I realized, I got a few good mentors around me, and I started to look into the real research, not the stuff that was created by the companies trying to sell me the fat-free food. I started to realize that, oh my gosh, my body is designed to eat real food. The less processed, the better. And guess what? My weight started to stabilize, and I started to be able to have 3 meals a day and not see problems. And I started to be able to accomplish my health goals. I would still get sick and get the cold and get the flu every now and then and all of that. Doesn't happen anymore. Remember what we talked about fat doing in Lesson 2? Fat will give you a rock star's immune system. And that might not make sense because rock stars probably have pretty compromised immune systems based on their lifestyles. But it'll give you a strong immune system. Okay? And sugar-free foods, you can imagine. if there's not sugar in it and it tastes sweet, what do you think is causing it to be sweet? It is a chemical. And it is a chemical that will mess with your body. Okay? A lot of you don't know this, but the most of the artificial sweeteners out there were derived during pesticide and insecticide manufacturing. Splenda is a great example of it. Sucralose, which is its base ingredient, is actually a chlorinated sugar molecule that they were able to attract insects to the chemicals, and they found out that the insects were dying just as fast from eating what they were trying to attract them there with as the pesticide itself. Did you know that Splenda is chlorinated sugar? Do you want to put chlorinated sugar in your body? No. Put regular sugar or put some honey in it or something. Get away from these sugar-free foods. The first thing you do, just run. Run. If you see one, run. But people in the grocery store, Run from these foods as fast as you can. It'll be one of the best decisions you ever made. We already made this point here. Obviously, the creation of these foods and the increased sale of these foods has not improved the health of America, and it hasn't improved your health either. Myth number 6, one size fits all for nutrition. One reason that this lesson comes fourth in line to the other nutrition lessons is because I'm trying to help you understand that meal planning is not nearly as important, and the diet itself is not nearly as important as the food that's in the diet. And when I say diet, I just mean your nutrient intake. I'm not talking about the meal plan you're using for trying to lose weight. I'm just your diet, your intake. Okay, so everyone should not eat the same types and amounts of food. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to start using, like I use the templating process. The reason I use that is because templating is flexible. It means you can do one thing one day and do something different the next, because it's your template. You're creating it. It needs to be something that you make in your home. The reason that most people fail in meal planning is because they try to jump out of their normal lives and run in this program's life for as long as they can get it done. And then when they can't do it any longer and the willpower fades, they jump back into their normal life again, opposed to bringing the process back home and starting to work it into lifestyle. And it'll never go away once you do that. You'll have challenging days, don't get me wrong. We all have those. But it won't be this thing that you have to try to keep up with. It'll be a passion. It'll be something you become very good and skilled at. All right. What I'm going to have you do is we're going to take our normal break now. You're going to get up and we're going to stretch a little bit. Get the arms, stretch the arms out. Deep breathing, please. Deep breaths. This is one of those times where if someone offers you a breath mint, never, ever turn it down. Deep breaths. Let's get some oxygen in those brains, in that blood. And one deep breath and have a seat.